So let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance and let's begin our school committee meeting this evening.
Great.
And while Dr. Beta gets that up and running, I'd like to also share with the team our new student rep is with us, Valerie Creighton. So later in the meeting, we'll have a nice welcoming message from her. And yeah, so team, let's unmute ourselves and let's begin with our Pledge of Allegiance. All right, a Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Remember to go ahead and mute yourselves again.
And I will pull up.
Thank you, Dr. Beta. Alrighty. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting on August 26th and the 2nd of September?
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting on August 26th and September 2nd.
I second the motion.
Thank you. Veronica, do we have any submissions for public comment?
We do not. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, we do. I have something from Counselor Robinson, who cannot be here this evening. He wanted to bring up 4 talking points, so I'm just going to read them how he sent them in. The school is unaffordable for Chelsea. The annual cost to Chelsea over each of the next 30 years will be approximately $1.9 million. This is over and above the $1.2 million we already pay to Northeast to educate our 200 plus children. There will be a conference on October 18th at City Hall. His second comment is the city is only allowed to raise under Proposition 2.5, approximately 1.7 million in new property taxes each year. So this one bill from Northeast will exceed the amount. It means that for the next 30 years, there will be no new tax dollars available in Chelsea for any other projects or new spending. His third talking point is Chelsea will be paying among the highest percentage of any city. Only Revere will pay more for this school. Chelsea is paying substantially more than far wealthier communities like Winchester and North Reading. His fourth comment is, it is simply not fair that the cost of the school is determined solely by a city's enrollment. There should be some consideration of a community's ability to pay. Relying on enrollment as a sole factor is inequitable.
Thank you so much, Veronica. All right, team, next item on the agenda is a presentation on professional teacher status recognition, and I will turn it over to our superintendent, Dr. Beta.
Great. Well, thank you. And I am very excited for tonight's presentation of our professional status teacher status, because this is so important. Our teachers who work in Chelsea work very hard, and we are working to retain as many of our wonderful teachers as we can. And this year we have many teachers who are receiving their professional teacher status. And this means that the teachers are now professional. They've received what we call PTS in Chelsea Public Schools, and it means they're permanent. And so we're just so excited. We have 48 teachers this year achieving this accomplishment. So I just want to say a huge shout out to our teachers. They have worked so hard during this pandemic and always, and teaching is it's very hard job, but extremely rewarding. And we love our educators, and we're just so thrilled to have 48 to present tonight. So I'm going to go through, and we have certificates for each teacher. So I'm starting off with Kristen, and forgive me if I mispronounce the name, everyone's name. I'll do my best. Kristen Pointon Tershek, congratulations. Our second teacher is Karen Richardson. Our third is Erin Duffy Madden. Beth Crowley. Amy DeMarco. Stacy Kaczmarek. Andrew Legendre. Evan Morey. Nicole Johnson. Michael Mansfield. Mackenzie Roberts, Alyssa Panic, Regan von Wildendrath, Olivia Johnson, Emily Ann Zotz, Christian Kelly, John Bullinger, Megan McCormick, Christian Dolliff, Allison Gorman, Gwendolyn Coyley, Joel Flagerberg, Lucas Schenker, Rebecca Trigg, Sydney Levon, Alex Lapan, Vanessa Ruita, Julian Sousa, Chelsea Falco, Catherine Andrea, Julia Bazil, Michael Elias, Noah Merksimer, Kathleen Kostman, Brianna Scotta, Charles Bellone, Amelia Lynn, Amanda Grace, Claudia Laurie, Mackenzie Javades, Ellen Fitchner, Taylor Gold, Lauren Hennessy, Kristen De Paola, Liana Frazier, Emily Floyd, and I believe that completes our awards. And I just, again, want to congratulate everyone. And I don't know if school committee members would like to say something. So I'll open the floor to Chair Garcia.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that presentation of wonderful awards to our outstanding teachers. In just a few moments, I will open it up to the floor of our school committee members. But from my heart to you all, as a teacher for the last 8 years, I cannot thank you enough for continuing to teach our students even through this pandemic, and for not giving up on our students. Thank you. My words cannot, I cannot express my gratitude in just a few words tonight. So I want to send you all a virtual hug if I could, because truly teaching is not easy. And it takes a lot of love and passion and dedication, and you all come to our schools day in and day out and present your best selves to our students. So thank you. Any other members, please raise your hand so I can see. I see Ms. Velez, so go ahead, Ms. Velez. And then if any other members would like to speak, go right ahead.
Sorry, guys. Everyone's doing home meetings. First of all, I want to congratulate the teachers. And Dr. Beta, did you say the requirements to get this high honor? And if you did earlier, I'm sorry, I missed it. I just wanted to know what the requirements were so our other teachers could aspire to it.
Sure. When a teacher comes into our system after 3 years, we make the educators, the principals together make a decision and really say, this is someone we really want to keep in our system, so we're going to grant professional status. So that's what this is. And so they become a professional status teacher in Chelsea Public Schools.
So is this something new under your administration? Just because I've never seen it before.
Yeah, I think what's new is that we are celebrating our awardees. It's always happened. It happens across in every district in the state of Massachusetts. After 3 years, an educator within the system can receive professional status, and so it happens in every school district. And we wanted to celebrate our teachers who are receiving this honor, because it is an accomplishment in an educator's career, and we know how important teaching and learning is. So we want to recognize all of our educators who work so hard to receive this status.
Well, thank you for sharing with us, and I'm glad you did, because if this has been going on, I would have loved to seen over the years the teachers who have accomplished this. So again, congratulations. I know it's not easy, even after pandemic coming in this year, working in a school district myself and seeing the challenges that are being faced in the classroom. It's not easy. So thank you very much for all that you do for our students.
Thank you, Ms. Velez. Ms. Alfaro?
Sorry, I was muted. I just wanted to say, echo everybody's words of gratitude, and thank you for being there during this pandemic, to all of the teachers, but especially for those who are getting the award right now. And thank you for all that you do every day, waking up early, managing our children. Chelsea schools are really in gratitude with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Alfaro. Mr. Jimenez?
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I'm like transitioning into the house right now. I was walking home. Just want to say thank you so much to all of the educators who have stayed for the 3 years, and we really do look forward to keeping you and continuing to work with you. The work that you do, especially this past year, has not been easy. So the fact that you are achieving this milestone is huge, and we're just super, super grateful. I'll keep it short because I know that everybody wants to say a little bit, but just know that I am deeply grateful for all the work that you do as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jimenez. Any other last words? Ms. Go ahead.
I'm sorry I'm late. Sorry to join you late, but I'm here. Congratulations and thank you for your service. I know it's been a difficult time for all of us, but congratulations and thank you for your service.
Thank you, Ms. Carlisle. Any other members? I think that's the whole team here. Awesome. All right. So once again, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, Dr. Beta, back to you. Oh, I see Cecilia. Go ahead, Cecilia.
Hi, everyone. So I'm a student, and coming from all the students from Chelsea High School, I just wanted to say thank you to all of those educators, not only the ones that are getting the awards right now, but like to all of you, because you guys make learning so much fun, and we really appreciate all the effort every educator made during this last year during Zoom and everything, because I know it was really hard, and it was really hard for us as well to be in this virtual world. And like, I know some of you never met your students and all of that. So we really appreciate the love you guys show and the support. And I just wanted to say thank you to everyone, and especially to those that are getting the awards tonight.
Thank you, Cecilia. As an educator myself, I love hearing from the students, and especially when it's expressed, when they're expressing their gratitude. So thank you for chiming in. Alrighty, Dr. Beta. Next up, we have our report of the Superintendent of Schools.
Great. Well, I am excited. We have our new indicators of success to go over. And just for those who are watching, we have every month we report on our indicators of success in accordance with our strategic plan. And so we have a new rollout of a strategic plan for the next 5 years. And so we've updated our indicators of success to align to the new strategic plan. And this will be the first time that our Assistant Superintendent for Teaching and Learning, Mr. Mike Lovato, will be presenting the indicators of success. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and have Mr. Lovato share his screen.
Thank you, Dr. Abeta, and thank you, school committee. I will go ahead and share my screen now, and you guys obviously can ask me questions throughout. I'm not going to spend too much time on the first page in regards to the monthly biannual. I know Dr. Abeta had shared that with the team on Saturday, although if anybody would like me to repeat any of that information, just please let me know and I'll go ahead and do so. The first indicator that we're going to look at is Mcas. These are the 2021 Mcas, and as Dr. Abeta mentioned, this is our baseline. And so what we are looking at, in ELA and math hooks, we're looking at about 25% proficiency. This is anything exceeding proficiency and current proficiency. You could see the Cali, that's, we have about 43%. That is one area that we are almost aligned with the state. Obviously, our goal is always to catch up to the state on where we are with proficiency. The Berkowitz, about 28% reading and 11% math. The Sokolowski, 21% and 8% in math. The Clark, 18% in ELA, 9% in math, and 12% in science. And just a reminder to everybody who's watching and listening that science and MCAS is tested on 5th, 8th, and 10th grade. And that's why there are some categories where it shows NA, and also when you're looking at the middle schools, there's only portions of that are tested, so we just include it as the whole school. The Brown, 17% proficiency, 9% in math, 7% in science. The Wright, 26% in ELA, the 14% in math, and 19% in science. I would like to point out the Wright has been on a good trajectory of math throughout this time. Prior to the pandemic, they were very positive in their scores, and so we are pretty confident that the Wright will continue that as soon as the pandemic is over as well. Chelsea High School, 27% in ELA, 15% in math, and 43% in science. And then the COA does not have anything on record at this time for 2021. And then the CVLA is a new school, and that's the Chelsea Virtual Academy, although next year they will have MCAS scores. The attendance rate, what we've shown right now is just for the month of September. Grade 1, you can see we're at 92%. The year-to-date totals will equal the exact same as the month, as that's the only attendance report we have at this point. We are averaging 90% all the way up to about 93% from grades 1 through 8. And then in 9th grade through high school, we are taking a dip. This is something that we are addressing with the high school, and together with the high school and the administrative team, we are coming up with a couple of initiatives to ensure that kids are in class, what the notification systems look like to parents, and then what the incentives look like to ensure that students are in class and not skipping class. But they are working hard to ensure that students are remaining in class and improving the attendance rate. And it is something that is being addressed. 9th grade, you see we're at about 87%, but what's concerning as well is our seniors are at 72%. So again, we are working with the high school to ensure that that's corrected and improved to get to a level of where we are with Dr. Abeta's expectations and goals that she has set forth with the district vision. And then we have postgraduate, 94%, and then kindergarten, pre-K, and at pre-K, we have about an 88%, sorry, and then kindergarten, about an 89%. So we're also working with the school as well, too, to find out what we need to do to bring that up. District total right now is about 90%. So we're about 5% that we need to work on to hit the goal, which I have no doubt that we will. Indicator 3, priority 1, it's looking at a lot of the classes that we're taking. Right now with Algebra 1, that is a goal. Our baseline is 0. But we have put together plans as far as what's needed in order to include Algebra 1 at every middle school next year. We are working with some of our assessments and identification in regards to mathematics and finding out the kids that are capable of algebra so that we can start providing those interventions this year. I am happy to say the RIDE has already identified their groups, and I'll be working with the Brown and the Clark to also identify their groups and make sure that we're targeting not only all of our levels of students from Tier 1 all the way to Tier 4 and making sure that all kids are making gains regardless of levels and current academic status. The expectation for next year as well, too, for Algebra 1 is to make sure that we have, sections in each one of those areas and again, to expand it. Students in AP courses at this time, it is 255. Just a reminder that this is not total courses taken, this is total students that are taking it. So there are 255 courses, students rather, that are taking courses in AP. This can include, this does not account for students who are taking more than one course, as that would be, it does not increase the amount of students, it's more the classes, and this is tracking students itself. The students in calculus, we have 138 students enrolled in early college. That's 214, and again, this reporting is similar as to what AP is. It's number of students that are taking college courses, and although we do have multiple kids at the high school that are taking multiple courses at the college. Right now, dual enrollment is at 52, and we are also working with the high school and the colleges to ensure that these numbers increase, and what the increase would even look like as soon as January of next year. I know this part's new to the school committee. This is our iReady testing. And what I want to talk to you about here is this is our baseline. We did anticipate, as many other states and across the nation, we had a gap. And I know that our teachers did a tremendous job over the time that the pandemic was on and we were home and remote, but we also know that it's not the same of being in person. And some of our iReady scores and our baseline scores are showing us that we have some work to do. But what I want to also share is we have no doubt that the plans that we have in place and the leaders and the teachers and the people that we have working with our students are going to help us to ensure that the students accelerate, the students have made growth, and that we recuperate the skills that were lost during the pandemic. So kindergarten, the initial test for iReady is saying right now, kindergarten, 3rd month, these are the amount of students that are on pace and on track with grade level skills. So right now in kindergarten, it's 8%. And again, this is English language arts. First grade is 5%, grade 2 is 8%, grade 3 is 24%, which is critical as well too. That is the year that students are putting all their reading skills together, and a very critical year for students in English language arts without question. Grade 4 is at 15%, grade 5, 10%, grade 6, 13%, grade 7, 17%, and grade 8 is also at 17%. This test does not include for students who are grades 9 through 12. And just so you know personally, and I know everybody on this team feels the same way, as a team, we won't be happy until we're 100%. And so we got a long ways to go, but again, I have no doubts that the team that we have in place and the plans that we have in place will ensure that we do have growth throughout the school year and years to come. Math, kindergarten is at 5%, grade 1, 2%, grade 2 is 1%, grade 3 is 4%, grade 4 is 6%, grade 5, 8%, grade 6, 10, 7 is 10 as well, and then grade 8 is 8%. Our next test will occur in January, and then we will have one final test in May, and these will be the different progress reports that we'll be able to show the school committee. And obviously the schools are using this as data to drive instruction and then make additional changes where they need in regards to grouping and changes or coaching or whatever supports are needed as well. Indicator 5, we do not have any data at this time, as this is looking at exit data for grade 4 and grade 8. So when at the end of this year, this will be one of the indicators that we're able to share with the school committee and the community, and we'll be able to report out on this information. Right now, the only information that we have for indicator 7 is the number of enrolled students. This is also an end of year indicator, as AP tests and test scored percentage of scores will also be provided at the end of the school year. Graduation rate last year was 66% as a district. Sorry, the 2021 is 68%. I do apologize, that should be in there. That is for the district. And then indicator 9, we do have information here, and I know Dr. Beta has already shared some of this information, but we did see a dip in 2 to 4 year colleges. We went from 65% to 49%. We did see that a number of students went directly into the workforce. They went from 27 to 32%, so we had a gain of about 5%. We see an increase of 2% entering the military. Does make me so excited. I'm a veteran myself, so I see that as a plus. And entering certification programs, we went from 2% to 6%. And then as far as a gap year enrolled the following year into the city year program, we saw an increase of 4%. So that's also a plus as well. And then entering a trade school, we saw a minor increase of 1 to 2%. So the 4-year college in each one of these categories will continue to work with the high school on what that looks like as well and how we can provide some support there. The high school dropout rate, I know the dropout rate, the way we calculate it is month to month. So right now we don't have any indicators of students who have dropped out. We do have students who have dropped and moved on to other places, but as far as students that are unidentified at this time, we do not have any. The enrollment, as far as the programmatic breakdown, we have, as far as the October 1st enrollment and what's submitted to the state, we have a little over 1,000 students, and we have about 541 students that are identified as L students that are being reported to the state. And then we do have 25 students that have withdrawn as of June. And then we have some numbers there as well, too, that shows you our data since June 1st, 2021. Kind of gives you an idea as far as what some of our students are doing and where they're going. And we have had some mobility, at least at the beginning of the school year, trying to figure out where students are going. But we have done a pretty good job of cleaning up the data, making sure that the numbers that we're providing are accurate. Priority 3, I'm going to go ahead and ask that Christine Lee take this portion of the indicator on, as I know she's pretty excited about the work that she's done with HR, and we'll turn this over to Christine at this time.
Great, thank you, Mr. Lovato. So the retention for teachers, you'll see that there's different buckets that Dr. Beta has identified for our strategic plan. So for the first section for retention of teachers, you'll see some movement from 1920 to 2021. This past year from 2021, the total number of teachers that we had was 504, and that's an increase from the previous year, which is 476. Teachers who left Chelsea Public Schools last year was 78 teachers total, which was 15%. So we did increase from 1920 to 2021. Teachers who and so the next set of data is within the teachers who left. So those who retired or were terminated last year, it went down from 21 to 17, and teachers who left on their own went up slightly or significantly, 32 to 61. And so you'll see some of those, some of that data to explain the teachers who exited. For our administrators, you'll see that we had 4 administrators exit this past year. Those who retired or were terminated, we went from 0 to 1. Administrators who left on their own, we went to 5, and that does include the retired administrator. For promotions, we had an increase from 8 to 14, and that is attributed to our work with our pipeline programs for the Parent Teacher Pipeline Program. We did have a teacher move to administrator last year, so that stayed the same. The administrator to administrator promotion went from 1 to 2, and our substitute paras has been a low number, and last year we had 0. So that is our promotion data. For our diversity of teachers and administrators, you'll see that we started tracking this data from 1920 to 2021. And so this past year, we were able to compare whether we've seen some increases, and we certainly have done a great job in increasing the diversity of our teacher workforce. And so the percent of increase for our teachers went up 66%, and the increase for our administrators went up 66%. And for central office last year went up 14%. So that is attributed to everyone's hard work, including our school leaders and everyone involved in hiring great diverse teachers and also cultivating their staff that they have currently.
Thank you, Christine. The next component of the indicators for success is the mobility. You can see at the ELC, we've taken in about 25 students, where one is exited in the month of September. The elementary as a whole, we've taken in 65 kids, where we've lost 13. Middle school, 57 to 15 lost. And then at the high school, 106 to 6. And then the district total is 253 to 35. And then we'll be able to provide another monthly report in October to see the differences and make some comparisons at that time. Student mobility rate, you also have it there as well too in a percentage. We have about an 18% student mobility rate. So we'll continue to monitor that as well. And as the months go on, we'll be able to compare from one month to the next. In regards to the CHS failing grades, we'll be able to provide our next report at the quarter, and we are monitoring very closely the number of grade 9 total number of students that are failing. 437 is too many. You know, we don't have, we have about 450 students. So that means that they're failing at least one class, which is unacceptable. We have one failing grade of 92%. 92, 2 failing grades 38, 3 failing grades 9, and then 4 or more. So we have a significant problem that we need to address, and we are working with the high school in order to ensure that that's not the case. Total failing grades, again, these are classes. You have 411 at the high school, 1 failing grade 94, 2 failing grades 39, 3 failing grades 16, and then 4 or more of 5, with 37% failure rate of sophomores. And then we do have the high school tracking not only grades, but credits earned at the high school as a requirement on their side from their counselors. And they are meeting with kids right now as we speak to discuss where they are on their current status. And they've started with their seniors, and they've been working their way down to freshmen. And then in regards to retention, last year was a 24% for freshmen, and as sophomores, it's a 26%. And we're also obviously working with the high school to see how we can improve that and ensure that classes are more relevant for students, and that we have ensured that they are engaged and interested in being in class as well. And at this time, Dr. Abeta, School Committee, I stand for questions or any comments.
Thank you, Mr. Lovato, and congratulations on presenting your first indicator of success. All righty, team. Any questions, Ms. Velez?
Madam Chair, I'm going to start with the least to the most that I have. I just wanted to comment on the iReady, and like Mr. Lovato said, it's a low percentage, and of course we want more, but when I'm thinking of our second graders, they're really, the first 2 years of experience in school was remote. So I think it's really hard, and, you know, like, it's sad to see those low percentage, but looking back and reflecting, it's because they were doing the remote learning. They really were not in the classroom. So I hope by January, we do have higher percentages on those iReady scores. What is really bothering me is seeing the attendance rates at the high school, especially the seniors. And then now when you're talking about failing grades in 9th and 10th grade, it's all related to attendance. If they're not showing up, how are they going to learn the material and make the grades? So I just want to know then what steps are being taken at the high school to improve that attendance rate. And also, are they being marked absent the whole day? Because you said some skipping class. So can you explain the whole attendance? If they skip class, if they were just not in, and also then what steps are being taken to fix the problem? Are you working closely with families? You know, I just feel the district has added so many great people. We're really working hard on equity, diversity, and yet when you see these outcomes, it's pretty sad. So I don't want to just say we've put all these things in place, checking off the box, but are we really doing the work? Are we really working with our students and our families to make our attendance better, our grades to look better, you know, and also coming back from the pandemic, I don't think, you know, Desi gave a guidance, but it wasn't really the best guidance because I don't think none of us were prepared to face what we're facing dealing with the students as well. They're coming back with so much from home. And if we didn't have a high rate of our seniors last year going to college and they entered the workforce because they were forced to go back to work. They had to go and help their families to try to recover from this pandemic. So yeah, I ramble, and you guys know I'm here for my families. I want the best for them. And I just want to make sure that as a district, Dr. Beta has worked hard, Christine Lee, to bring diversity in so much and equity that we're really doing the work and thinking of our students and families first. So with all that, again, can you guys just explain the difference of taking the regular attendance, the skipping class attendance, and what exactly is being done to address those issues?
Sure. I'm going to start, but then I'm going to toss it to Mr. Lovato. So, Ms. Velez, I agree 100% with you. And when we look at our data, we know we have to do better. And then so we call it out, here it is, and we know that we're going to see growth. And like the iReady, it's baseline. And so we're already meeting with principals and talking about our data, what are our next steps. And so we have the data, which is huge. And so we're gonna move that data because we are committed. And Mr. Lovato and Mr. Delady and myself are committed to being in schools and to really support principals with this work because it takes the entire team to move a district, and we will do this. And as far as the high school, we are putting systems in place. Mr. Lovato is at the high school a lot and working and mentoring and really working with the high school team. And I'm going to turn it over to him to talk about what he has already put in place as far as, and Mike, if you could go over even with the guidance counselors, what you've been working on, how we're really identifying kids that are falling through the cracks so that way we can intervene immediately. So I'm going to turn it over to him.
Yes, Dr. Beta. So I'll start here, Ms. Velez, if you don't mind. So one of the first things that we did at the high school, and this is coming from my own experience too, I came in and I asked questions, you know, how many kids are on track? How many seniors are on track? How many kids, how many credits we missing? What's the attendance rate of seniors? And when the high school didn't have the data available, that was my first expectation. So now one of the things that I'm very proud of the counselors on is I challenged the counselors to be able to express exactly where students were in regards to credits, not only their seniors, but at any given time, if a school committee member, Dr. Beta, parent, anybody involved, they should be able to walk into the high school and say, all right, of sophomores, how many are on track as of today? And it shouldn't be a number that we research. It should be a number that we're ready for and prepared for at all times. And so what I am proud to say is that our counselors did take care of it, and they immediately started. They're not there with freshmen and sophomores yet. It is a lot of work, but they are there with seniors and they are there with juniors. So what's happening right now with seniors, and actually they've met with most of them. I think there's still a few left. What they did is they went through each one of the seniors, they determined what was missing, and we created tiers. The first tier is anybody who's on track. If you're on track, we still want to meet with you. We still want to make sure that the supports are in place. We still want to make sure that we're validating it. We want to make sure that we recognize you. And then there's a second tier where we're only about a credit or two short as far as classes, sorry. And then we know that there has to be some intervention, but we also know that it's very doable. We put together a tier 3, which we know that kids have to fight to graduate in order to stay on track. And then we have, another tier, which is, everything has to go right for these kids to be successful. And it's a long shot, to be fair, but we're also having that honest conversation with kids as far as who they are, what they need to do to get done. And the next piece that would happen after the first meeting is they call their parents, they let them know where they are, they put together credit recovery plans. They developed a couple of forms and a contract that they're working with the students that need to do the credit recovery, that need to have intervention in order to graduate. And then they will be having a second meeting with those kids come quarter. And so what I've also challenged the high school to do too is it's not just about having the meeting. What are you going to do to recognize these kids? And it doesn't always have to be tangible. I did tell the principal it could be as simple as calling that kid into your office and saying, hey, you moved up a tier, call your mom and dad. And let them know how good you've been doing. I did share, unfortunately, these are some of the kids that, they have had the parent phone calls, but it's not always for the good things. And I remember myself as a principal, I was able to call these kids into our office and I would say, hey, call your mom and dad. And they're like, well, mister, this would be the first time. And I said, I know, let's continue doing it. Let's do it 2 or 3 more times. And just the pride that we saw with the kids, the pride we saw with the parents is just irreplaceable. On top of that, they're also looking at other areas where they could recognize the same process and procedure is happening with juniors, sophomores, and freshmen. In regards to attendance, Ms. Velez and school committee, I did a walkthrough just a couple of days ago, and one of the things that I noticed is I counted students in classroom when I'm there. I noticed mobility in the school. I noticed movement in the school. And so as of today, I had a meeting with the high school and I gave them some ideas on what I wanted to see. I let them know what I expected, and what I did expect is you should be able to walk down the hallways of the high school, and the only kids that are in the hallway are the kids that have business in the hallway, whether that would be going from one class to the principal's office, to the nurse's office, counselor's office, but it's not a place to hang out. And so I gave him some ideas, and if you don't mind, I'd rather not share the ideas at this point. I would like Mark the opportunity to be able to speak to his team, because I know he was going to speak to his team today and they were going to give me a proposal. But as soon as that's done, if the school committee allows and Dr. Baker requests, I'll share that with the next school committee. But I did give him about 4 different ideas. I also suggested, some ideas for what we're doing with staff during those times. How we're monitoring it, whether it's a drop into class, whether it's a, kind of a roundup, and here's what we're doing with the kids. So we have about 4 different ideas that we're working with the high school. I do have a standing meeting with the high school on Thursdays, and I do have a meeting next week to discuss a couple of things with the high school, this being one of them, pathways, making sure that every class is on grade level. So multiple things. There's probably about 10 different subjects that we talk to. And then obviously the high school is able to give me an agenda for what they want us to talk to me about, where they want support. So I can tell you that the concerns that you raised are being addressed. They are recognized. They are nothing that are acceptable. Kids need to be in school, and we obviously need to tackle each one of our areas of need. If you don't mind, also too, with the iReady, one of the things that I would like to share is we have also set up meetings with each one of our schools with iReady coordinators and the data teams themselves. We are meeting here in the next couple of weeks with each individual school, breaking down their data, breaking down every component from not only their overall score, but all the way to individual skills and standards that they're missing, so that we could work with the coaches, coordinators on making instructional shifts where we need, and then providing support where needed as well. And then the coordinators and myself, along with one of the things I don't want to forget, Dr. Blake Canty, she's also a partner in mine in doing this work, and she's very active with me in the decision-making that's taking place and how we're supporting. But the data teams are positive. We have schools that are running with it already. We have schools that are providing intervention from the bottom tier all the way to the top tier, and I guarantee there'll be growth. And I could say that with confidence. I'm proud of what the principals and the teachers and the coaches are trying to accomplish with the work at this point. And it's nothing to be proud of at this point with the scores, but I can tell you, and by January, it'll be a different conversation that's occurring.
Thank you, Mr. Lovato. So I just, another question for the credit recovery. Is that something that's gonna happen out of the regular school day for them to do that, or is something within the school day that they will have the opportunity?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah. No, that was my question.
A little bit of both. So what we do have is we have multiple sections throughout the school day that we're providing credit recovery options. And then the high school hasn't, we've asked them to hold off until they get things steady, but they will be providing an after-school option for kids. One of the things that I did share with the high school is we can't just provide after school. Not all kids can stay. That's not easy for everybody, so we have to do both. I don't have the exact number of the students that are in credit recovery at this time, but that's also something that I could gather up pretty quick.
And one last question, it was with the iReady. If I'm not mistaken, within the iReady program, do they provide like materials and curriculums to the teachers?
They can. iReady, the components we're using is the assessment and the progress monitoring. Now, iReady does have a software program called the Toolbox. One of the things that we're also making available for our teachers and our coaches is there are progress monitoring checks, growth monitoring checks, and with that, the program itself will provide sample questions to Mcas. And so they reword the questions to ensure that our students are learning the academic language to be prepared for Mcas. A big area where we have a deficit, and this is typical with urban communities and large minority populations, is they understand how to do the math, but the language is a little different. And so one of the things that we are focusing on is we need to teach them the language. We need to teach them the academic language that's on Mcas. So we're also using iReady for that as well. And again, if a teacher wants to use the lesson plans that are created with iReady and some of the progress monitoring and growth tools, we're going to encourage that as well. We have had multiple trainings with our coordinators. We have a teacher training coming up on the 20th. And then we have individual trainings with schools and coaches that are set up to make sure that they're prepared for all the bells and whistles that iReady offers, and making sure that we're utilizing every component of it.
Thank you for the information.
Thank you, Mr. Lovato. Mr. Jimenez, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I just want to say I agree and echo Ms. Velez's statement that we have to do better. I just want to I think we're in agreement here. Like, we're still fighting against a pandemic that has affected all of us and so much of what we do. And schools are already expected to do so much more than just educating our kids. And we in this room can't solve housing instability. We can't solve food insecurity, economic instability, right? There's only so much that we can do without support coming from beyond our school. So I know that there's going to be growth in these numbers. I'm looking forward to seeing this work continue because I believe in the work that we're doing and in the people who are doing it. So I just want to say that we're seeing numbers that are affected by the pandemic, and we will overcome the pandemic. We will overcome these numbers, and we will do better. So I thank you for all of you for the work that you're doing and for continuing to do this work, even though, as we all know, we don't have the full set of resources that we need to do the work. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jimenez. Any other questions from the team? Alrighty. Thank you, Mr. Lovato.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
And I echo Mr. Jimenez. I fully believe in our team. And with the support and continued work this year, we will, I have full hope that our numbers will rise. So thank you. Alrighty, next up, we have our new student rep. Go ahead and unmute yourself and introduce yourself. We are so excited to have you join our meetings, and you have the floor.
Still muted.
She's coming. Go ahead, Valerie. Unmute yourself.
I'm sorry. I wasn't sure.
That's okay.
To me.
I'm sorry. I should have. Sorry. Go ahead.
My name is Valerie Creighton, and I'm a senior at Chelsea High School. I'm here to represent my school and speak up for the students. I am honored to have been chosen for this role, and I am very excited to work with you all.
Awesome, Valerie. Thank you so much for the lovely introduction. We are so excited to have you join our team. Would any other school committee members like to welcome Valerie to our meetings?
I'll say hi.
Go ahead, Mr.
Hi, Valerie. just always super excited to have students join us. Just want to make sure that like if you are a non-voting member of the school committee, but you are a member, and if you have questions, if you have comments in any of the discussions that we're having, please just jump in. You just raise your hand, and Kelly will call on you, or Chairwoman Garcia will call on you, and just ask questions. And please just be as much a part of this as you want to be. These schools are for you, and we want to make sure that your voices are heard, and they're important to me. And I know I don't want to speak for everybody else, but they're important to me and to a lot of us. So I appreciate you for being here.
Definitely. Valerie, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying thank you so much for all the support.
Awesome. I don't want to forget about our other student rep, Cecilia, who worked on our equity committee. So go ahead. I'll give you a chance to reintroduce yourself, and then Ms. Alfaro, you have the floor.
Hi. Well, I know most of you already know me, and I already work with some of you guys. So my name is Cecilia. I'm a senior at Chelsea High School, and I've been really involved trying to work with everyone to make Chelsea public schools better schools for our future generations. And I'm really happy to be invited to be part of this team as well, because I know each one of you is putting all of your heart into all of this work to make Chelsea public schools something better for future generations. And this is amazing, like everything you guys are trying to do to make those kids go to class and everything, get good grades and everything. It's just amazing. And I think that seeing all of this, if all the students could see all the work you guys are putting in, I think they will appreciate it a lot as well, because I'm still a student and I really appreciate everything and all the work that you guys are putting in.
Thank you, Cecilia. It's great to see you again. Ms. Alfaro, you have the floor.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. I just like to welcome all of you, the students. It's always a joy to have you here, because you are the voices who represent, and feel free, like Mr. Jimenez says, to ask any questions, and looking forward to hear from you all the comments that you are representing for all the schools in Chelsea. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Alfaro. Ms. Carlisle, you have the floor.
Thank you. Well, girls, welcome aboard. You're going to find out what the school committee really does and how hard we're working to make sure you students are getting educated. I just want to let you know that our phone numbers are public. So if you have anything or any questions, you can call any of us on our phones. We'll be glad to help you. Just don't ask for any more money. We put enough money into your education.
You can always ask me for more money, always.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carlisle. Alrighty. Dr. Beta, The next thing on our agenda, I believe, is the personnel update found in enclosure B for those members who have an electronic copy.
We go through the personnel update as we always do. Here, these are all of our notes, our minutes. So I'm getting to enclosure B. Okay, so as you can see here are our personnel changes since August 27th, and you can see, so at the end here, our demographic data with our hires is 38% Caucasian, 49% Hispanic, 9% Black, and 4% Asian Pacific Islander. And then you can see we have our resignations, retirements, termination, and I'll let you just take a look through there. And then our promotions and our transfers, we had 4, and then our leaves of absences. So that is our personnel report. And then I will go on to our enrollment, and we always share our enrollment at each school committee meeting. Enrollment is particularly important on October 1st because that's how we are funded for the following year. Our enrollment has increased since last year. We had pre-pandemic, we were at 6,200 students, and then we had dropped to about 5,900 during the pandemic year, and we are back up at 6,103 students. So we're slowly rising back up to our numbers pre-pandemic, which we thought would happen. So we're definitely almost there. And so I would like to commend these 2 reports to the record.
Thank you, Dr. Beta.
You're welcome. Let me get to the agenda. Let's see here. I always do this. Where is it? I know it's here somewhere. All right.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Beta. Next up, we have the committee reports. Do I have a motion to commend these reports to the record?
I make a motion that we accept the subcommittee reports and commend them to the record.
Second.
Great. Moving right along to new business. Alrighty. Consideration and action to support a no vote on the construction of the new Northeast Metropolitan Regional Vocational High School due to the cost and formula by which the cost of new construction will be apportioned among the member communities. This project results in an annual cost to Chelsea residents that is inequitable. Explanation: Northeast Metropolitan Regional Vocational High School is proposing $317 million for construction of a new facility. Action is required by the City of Chelsea is to determine its position on this extraordinary expense facility. Veronica, roll call, please.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair. Can somebody explain further this? So if we vote against it, is there repercussion to our students that apply there? Like,
sure, I'll go through. Let me give you some context. This was discussed in subcommittee, but in the packet there was a letter from our city manager explaining it very, very well, outlined information information about the new building and the construction of the new building at Northeast. And so at the end of the day, what it amounts to is like, due to the cost and the formula, the new construction is split amongst the communities based on enrollment. And Chelsea, we have the second highest enrollment at Northeast Votech of all of the surrounding communities and communities that send students to Northeast Votech. So the way the formula works is the formula is just saying, okay, Chelsea, you have, for example, 238 students at Northeast Votech. So we're going to basically charge you that X amount on taxes for that amount of students. So at the end of the day, Chelsea gets charged, gets more an increase in taxes because we have more students enrolled. And then next to the highest amount is actually Revere. And so in essence, what we're saying here is that the formula is inequitable because it's charging the city of Chelsea more than the other communities. And so the results is an annual cost to the Chelsea residents that's inequitable. The exact amount of the building is going to be $317 million. And basically, it's going to tax, as a result of this, it would tax the city of residents of Chelsea more than the other communities due to our enrollment numbers. So we're not opposed to a new building. We support a new building. We support everything about it. The concern is that we're going to be taxing, and this is it's going to hit the community residents. And so that's what we're not in support of. There's a detailed memo that we sent to you and when we sent out the information, and there's also going to be a meeting at a subcommittee meeting with City Council on October 18th that every school committee member is invited to attend. The superintendent of Northeast Votech will be there. And so what we're doing here as a school committee and what we're asking you to vote on is just in support of a no vote. And the city council will vote on this at the end of the day, but we really want to be we want to support we want the support from school committee and from city council on this.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Bates.
You're welcome. The exact amounts that our residents will be taxed is in the enclosures, and you'll see a letter there from the city manager, Mr. Ambrosino.
Thank you, Dr. Veda.
You're welcome.
Our city manager is present. Hello, Mr. Ambrosino. If you would like to take a moment to explain or chime in, we'd love to hear from you before casting a vote.
So, as Dr. Abeda said, I certainly am not opposed to a new facility for Northeast Regional. That school is inadequate. They desperately need a new high school there. I'm opposed to the formula for how it's being assessed against the communities. The only factor being considered is enrollment, and it means that the school, a huge amount of the burden of this school is falling on the city of Chelsea. And it's really simply unaffordable for the city. The cost to the city annually is going to be an additional, over and above what we already paid in Northeast, an additional $1.9 million for each of the next 30 years. And that's more than the city can raise every year in Proposition 2.5. It can, our Proposition 2.5 limit every year is about $1.7 million. So to ask us to come up with another 1.9 million, more than I can raise in Proposition 2.5, that is just not a sustainable financial system. And so it's for that reason alone that I'm recommending to the city council that they vote no. And I think I and the city council would love for the school committee to weigh in support of that position. But this is up to you. I think the request is to, let the council know what your feeling is on this.
Thank you, Mr. Ambrosino. Mr. Jimenez?
I'm curious. I agree with Mr. Ambrosino. I guess I'm just curious, like, what are we voting on? I don't see a resolution, so are we just voting in support of Mr. Ambrosino's letter? Are we voting in disapproval of? I'm looking right now, and there's a piece here that says that the city council expressly disapproves of the borrowing of the debt and does not authorize it, right? But we don't have that type of authorization. So I just want to make sure that I understand, like, what we're voting on.
So, if I may, you're voting on an action to support a no vote, and so it's really you're voting to support a no vote.
Got it.
Any other questions from the school committee? Ms. Carlisle, go ahead.
Okay, I'm here. I was at the city council meeting the other night because I'm the delegate to the city council and I show up at the meetings. And I think we're going to be meeting with the city council on the 18th. I think they're going to set up a joint meeting with us to have a meeting with them so they can discuss it. But tonight we have to vote on saying a no to this resolution, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jimenez, go ahead.
So I guess if there's going to be a joint meeting, what is that meeting going to be? Like, are we just is that going to be an official meeting of the school committee? Are we going to be presented something there? Should we take this vote together? I guess I don't understand how those two things will be. Like, what is going to be the purpose of that meeting?
Well, we're going to sit down and discuss. They're going to explain what's going on as far as the money, and as far as I know, they don't want to put out that much money, so we have to be on the same page. So right now, we have to vote to say no to the consideration for Northeast Vocational. I think that's how we're going to do it. But it was nice of them to say they'll have a joint meeting with us to discuss it, so we'll know more. But tonight we can vote on whether we want to do it or not, and that's what we're going to vote on.
Got it. Thank you.
Thanks, team. Thank you, Mr. Ambrosino. Alrighty, Veronica, let's please have a roll call.
Consideration and action to support a no vote on the construction of the new Northeast Metropolitan Regional Vocational High School due to the cost and formula by which the cost of new construction will be apportioned among the member communities. This project results in an annual cost to Chelsea residents that is inequitable. Mr. Jimenez?
Yes.
Ms. Alfaro? Ms. Alfaro? Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle?
Yes.
Ms. Velez?
Yes.
Gonna try Ms. Alfaro one more time. That's 4 in the affirmative and 3 absent.
That's 4 in the affirmative, 3 absent. Motion carries. Next, we have consideration and action to authorize the district to enter an agreement of up to 6 years for duplicating and printing services, including equipment leases, copy center management, other duplicating and copying related services. Explanation: the district is currently in the 4th year of a contract for printing and duplicating services, including the management of the copy center located at Chelsea High School. Staff is Staff is requesting authorization to enter into a 6-year agreement where the selected vendor would replace the entire district inventory in year 1 of the contract, and if the district decided to exercise option for years 4 to 6, place it in again in year 4. Services provided would include management of the copy center pursuant to state law. The school committee must authorize any contracts in excess of 3 years. Any questions before we head over to a roll call? No? Okay, Veronica, please roll call.
Consideration and action to authorize the district to enter into an agreement of up to 6 years for duplicating and printing services, including equipment leases, copy center management, and other duplicating and copying related services. Mr. Jimenez?
Yes.
Ms. Alfaro? Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle?
Yes.
Ms. Velez?
Yes.
I have a yes vote for Ms. Alfaro as well in the chat.
Yeah, sorry, just that it's a new device. It's a Mac Air and a PC girl. And on the previous one, it was a yes, and on this one, it's yes. I call, thanks God that I have a young student here that know how to use this technical stuff.
Thank you, Ms. Alfaro.
Thank
so
you.
that's 5 in the affirmative and 2 absent.
5 in the affirmative, 2 absent. The motion carries. Team, do I have a motion to go quickly out of order to vote on the AFSCME contract? Which is...
Motion to suspend the rules, go out of order to do the SCME contract.
Thank you. Alrighty, consideration and action to vote on... Sorry, Dr. Beta, do you mind scrolling a little down? Oh, it's a lot. No, a little. There you go. Okay. Consideration and action to vote on the collective bargaining agreement between the Chelsea School Committee and the American Federation of State, County, and Employees. AFL-CIO State Council 93, Local 708, Custodial and Maintenance Workers, Cafeteria Workers, and Security Monitors Union for the period of July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2024. Explanation. The Chelsea School Committee approves the collective bargaining agreement between the Chelsea School Committee and AFSCME the period of July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2024, ratified by the AFSCME Union as September 23rd, 2021. Before casting a vote, I will turn it over to Ms. Lee, who has a PowerPoint for us.
Great. Thank you so much. Dr. Beta, do you mind sharing or allowing me to share screen?
Yeah.
Alrighty, so I will be presenting on the contract that has been ratified by the AFSCME unit. So I will present that to you. So today I will be going over the tentative agreements for AFSCME, which stands for American Federation of State, County, Municipal Employees, State Council 93, Local 708. And this is for our custodial and maintenance workers, our cafeteria workers, and our security monitors. We engaged in a series of negotiation sessions, and we are very excited to present a contract that has been voted on and ratified by the unit, and the district is excited to present this information to you. Whenever we go into our negotiation process, we have some pillars that we abide by and make sure that we are upholding. And so there are 3 pillars that we went into our negotiation meetings with. Number 1, to always do what is in the best interest of our students and staff. Number two, to deepen and extend the culture of care to students and to all adults who work in our schools and ensure that their employer, Chelsea Public School Committee, sends a message that it values each of them at every stage of their career and life. And this is particularly important to Dr. Beta, and we're looking forward to sharing with you how this extends throughout some of the key points that I'll be highlighting. And the third one is to continue to increase the salaries as fiscally responsible and prudent within limited resources. And of course, this year we were able to receive additional funding, and so we definitely were excited to do what we could to appropriately provide increases for our AFSCME unit staff. The representatives on the negotiation teams for AFSCME included Aníbal Santiago, the AFSCME president. He's also our head custodian. Bruce Harrison, who is the VP and security monitor at the Clark Avenue. Christine Follis, who is a head steward, and she is a food service manager. Fido Ramirez, who is a steward and security monitor over at the high school. And they were represented by Garrett Mahoney, who is staff representatives for AFSCME Council 93. And on our side was represented by myself, Monica Lamboy, Executive Director of Administration and Finance, and Jerry McHugh, who has retired but also is serving as our educational consultant. The main key points that I would like to highlight for the custodial and maintenance workers agreement for 2021 to 2024 include a few housekeeping items. In every contract there are some language items to clean up, and so we did do some of that. We also updated a few language items, which include bereavement leave, and we also included assistant to the senior building custodian at CHS in the complex, and that is going to be at the building craftsman salary scale. A few additions for the custodian contract include the maternity, paternity, adoptive leave ad, which allows for up to 12 work weeks of paid leave for FMLA or MPLA 8 work weeks, which is consistent with our teachers, para, and clerk contracts that we had included in their contracts previously, and we wanted to make sure we extend the same benefits for our custodial staff. We also added the same language as our teachers, para, and clerk unit for domestic violence leave, being able to take sick time if that happened, and also adding Juneteenth as a vacation day. In terms of salaries, we increased the longevity for our custodial staff who have been in the district for many years by $100 per year segment. We also increased the sick day buyback upon retirement to $65. We also increased the 6-day buyback at the end of the school year to $75. And for the increases overall for every custodial unit member for year 1, we agreed to a 4% increase, and year 2 and 3, 3% increase. For our cafeteria and security monitors tentative agreement, the key points for the 3-year agreement 2021 to 2024 include some housekeeping items, again, language updates, and a few language changes that we made include the bereavement leave. We added some language to allow for additional family members to be included. We also made the clothing allowance the same across all of the AFSCME unit members. We noticed that there were some differences between the cafeteria, custodial, and security staff, and so we have increased the allowances. We to total $1,100. We also allowed for vacation eligibility to be updated for those who have 1 to 4 years of service to receive 2 weeks. It previously was 1 to 5 weeks. And those who have been working 4 or more years will receive all of the scheduled days off on the school calendar, which is unique because in some districts, some of the cafeteria and security staff, they aren't paid for the days that they do not work. And so this is a benefit that extends for all of our cafeteria and security monitors. For cafeteria only, we did increase the Serve Safe training to $475, CPR training to $475, which ultimately we want to support their efforts in being trained and adequately prepared to serve food safely. For our security, we did put in a stipulation about absences. And so within a pay period, if they are absent, then they will have to skip a rotation and they will receive straight pay for extra assignments. So that was an addition, or that was language, that was part of some of the language changes. In terms of additions, again, we added the maternity, paternity, adoptive leave to up to 12 weeks, the domestic violence language, and the Juneteenth being added. In terms of salaries, we again increased the longevity by $100 per segment, per year segment, and we increased the buyback for sick days upon retirement to $50 per day. And we also, for security, for the salary increases, similar to the custodians, year 1, we did 4% of their salary will be increased, and then year 2 and year 3, they will receive a 3% increase in their salary. And then for cafeteria, in year 1, we did a significant increase. We did a 12% increase for cafeteria workers because we noticed that their salary rates were much lower than their colleagues. And so we did make a market adjustment for our cafeteria workers, which is why the percentage is higher than the other units. And then in year 2 and 3, we will continue with the 3%. So that's a summary of our key points for the negotiations process and the new contract that we're excited to present to you. And I'm happy to have Monica Lamboy, who's part of the team, to share a few words.
Thank you. We have talked about these team members a lot during the pandemic and the commitment they've shown to the district, feeding our children, making sure our buildings are clean and safe for the return, and as well as when we were closed, doing many, many projects in our buildings. So, and even in non-pandemic times, these team members are really committed to the children of Chelsea, and it's a pleasure to work with them. And in terms of the process, I just found this process to be very collaborative. Everybody came to the table with constructive ideas. We talked about some challenging things as well, and we're able to come up with what I think was a very fair, equitable, and balanced proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. And so at this time, we're happy to take any questions that you might have before we take it to a vote.
Ms. Lee, I'm not sure if you saw the message, but I can read it to the team. Ms. Carlisle wanted to thank you for all of your hard work with this negotiation.
Thank you, Ms. Carlisle.
Any other questions or comments?
I guess the presentation has left everyone speechless, so we can move on to the next steps if we're ready to do so.
Looks like we're ready. Alrighty, Veronica, roll call, please.
Consideration and action to vote on the collective bargaining agreement between the school committee and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFL, CIO, State Council 93, Local 708, Custodial and Maintenance Workers, Cafeteria Workers, and Security Monitors Union for the period of July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2024. Mr. Jimenez?
Yes.
Ms. Alfaro?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle?
Yes.
Ms. Velez?
Yes.
Mr. Ambrosino?
Yes.
That's 6 in the affirmative and 2 absent.
6 in the affirmative, 2 absent. The motion carries. Do I have a motion to go back into order?
Motion to go back to order.
I'll second the motion.
Motion.
Wonderful. Thanks, team. Have a great night, Mr. Brasino.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night, Tom. Thank you.
Alrighty. Is the volleyball one the next one, or I think we're a little, yep, thank you. Awesome. Alrighty, team. Next up, we have consideration and action to authorize the district to enter into an agreement of up to 5 years for food services. Explanation. The existing food services contract will end at the end of the year and a new RFP process is required this spring. Services provided by any vendor will include management of the school cafeteria's menu development and fiscal management to ensure that the district receives maximum reimbursement from the state for meals provided. Staff is requesting authorization to enter a 5-year agreement with 1 base year and 5 renewal years at the district's discretion. Pursuant to state law, the school committee must authorize any contracts in excess of 3 years. Roll call, please. Oh, before roll call, Mr. Jimenez.
Yeah, just a quick question. It's a 5-year agreement with 1 year and 5 renewal years. So isn't that 6?
This is Monica. Thank you. That's a typo. It should say 1 base year and 4 renewal years for a total of 5.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification, Ms. Lamboy.
Right, Madam Chair, before we do the roll call, so the RFP is going to go out as a 5-year. Is that how we're putting it out?
Yes, we would say it would be up to 5 years, where it's at the district's discretion each year whether we want to continue it.
Okay.
So sorry, just a quick question. So district discretion would mean we are not involved in whether we renew or not, right? Or we are?
It becomes an administrative determination to continue based upon performance during the prior year.
Got it. Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Consideration and action to authorize the district to enter into an agreement of up to 5 years for school food services. Mr. Jimenez?
Yes.
Ms. Alfaro?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle?
Yes.
Ms. Velez?
Yes.
It's 5 in the affirmative and 2 absent.
5 in the affirmative, 2 absent, motion carries. Next up, we have consideration and action to authorize the district to enter an agreement of up to 5 years for school transportation services, including in-district and out-of-district special education transportation, homeless and ESSA student transportation, yellow bus transportation, and after-school athletics, field trips, transportation, and other transportation-related services. Explanation. In 2017, the district issued invitations for bids for an array of transportation services to meet school needs. Multiple companies were selected and have been working with the district since then. The current contracts will expire at the end of the current school year, so new competitive processes will need to take place this winter or spring. Given the complexity of the process and the need for stability in transportation, staff is requesting authorization to enter contracts up to 5 years in length. Pursuant to state law, the school committee must authorize any contracts in excess of 3 years. Questions before roll call? Alrighty. Veronica, roll call, please.
Consideration and action to authorize the district to enter into an agreement of up to 5 years of school transportation services, including in-district and out-of-district special education transportation, homeless and ESSA student transportation, yellow bus transportation, and after-school athletic/field trips transportation, and other transportation-related services. Mr. Jimenez?
Yes.
Ms. Alfaro?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle?
Yes.
Ms. Velez?
Yes.
That's 5 in the affirmative and 2.
5 in the affirmative, motion carries. Next up, we have consideration and action to accept a state earmark in the amount of $25,000 for the Chelsea High School Music Department. Explanation. As part of the fiscal year 2022 budget, the state legislature approved a $25,000 earmark for the Chelsea High School Music Department. The music department will use the funds for needed equipment and instruments. Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 71, Section 37A provides for the acceptance of grants and educational purposes only with the approval of the Chelsea School Committee. Roll call, please.
Consideration and action to accept a state earmark in the amount of $25,000 for the Chelsea High School Music Department. Mr. Jimenez?
Yes.
Ms. Alfaro?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle?
Yes.
Ms. Velez?
Yes.
That's 5 in the affirmative and 2.
5 in the affirmative, 2 absent, motion carries. Next, we have consideration and action to approve a homeschooling petition for 3 Chelsea families, 5 students in total. Explanation. The Curriculum and Instruction Subcommittee has reviewed the proposals and has determined that the petitions have met the requirements of the Chelsea Public Schools homeschooling policy. All homeschooling petitions must be approved by the Chelsea School Committee. Roll call, please.
Consideration and action to approve a homeschooling petition for 3 Chelsea families, 5 students total. Mr. Jimenez?
Yes.
Ms. Alfaro?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle?
Yes.
Ms. Velez?
Yes.
Sorry, 5 in the affirmative and 2 absent.
5 in the affirmative, 2 absent, the motion carries. Next up, we have consideration and action to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve a field trip to Spooky World in Litchfield, New Hampshire for the Chelsea High School volleyball team and their coaches, chaperones on October 23rd, 2021. Explanation. This year, the Chelsea High School volleyball team would like to host this trip for their team banquet. Out-of-state field trips must be approved by the Chelsea School Committee. Roll call, please.
Consideration and action to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve a field trip to Spooky World in Litchfield, New Hampshire for the Chelsea High School volleyball team and their coaches/chaperones on October 23rd, 2021. Mr. Jimenez?
Yes.
Ms. Alfaro?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle?
Yes.
Ms. Velez?
Yes.
That's 5 in the affirmative and 2 absent.
5 in the affirmative, 2 absent, motion carries. Enjoy Spooky World, volleyball team. Alrighty, team. That is it for voting. Are there any communications that we would like to share with our community, our team? All right, doesn't seem like it.
I think this is our last meeting prior to Election Day. So just want to remind everybody, go vote next month. It's important. Yeah, just participate in our democracy. It's really important for us to make sure that we hear from our community.
Awesome. Thank you for the reminder, Mr. Jimenez. Next up we have announcements. Any announcements to share? I have one. My sister and I are hosting a little free library. We have we put on our carpenter hats and we built a wooden library, a wooden house for next to the John Reese's Park or inside the John Reese's Park. And we will be inaugurating it on Monday at 3 p.m. It is open to everyone, and we are hoping to provide books to students in the district all year. And so all are welcome. Any other announcements? Alrighty, wonderful. Great. Next up, we have consideration and action to enter into executive session without returning to open session pursuant to MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21A for Purpose 3. Explanation, executive session to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with respect to all bargaining units without returning to open session.
Motion to enter executive session.
I second the motion.
Awesome. Well, all of those watching on Facebook, have a wonderful night. Thank you for joining us. We will now be entering executive session.